Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good day everyone. This is Miss Johaira Sulaiman's report. Today, we will discuss the module 12, the curriculum response of higher education for teacher education amid the pandemic and beyond. The post-COVID-19 global health crisis has created unprecedented economic, social, and political challenges all over the world. When lockdown and enhanced community quarantines were declared around the world, including in the Philippines, educational institutions were unprepared for how to maintain academic continuity. Higher education institutions turned to online learning to ensure learning continuity. The shift to online delivery has caused access and connectivity issues. So, here are teacher education curriculum response to the COVID-19 pandemic and beyond. First, we have curriculum modification. Curriculum modification is the process of making adjustments to existing programs in higher education, specifically teacher education in order to respond to the needs of the learners amid and post-pandemic. In curriculum modification, we have focusing on the essentials like mapping the needed and enduring outcomes in the recommended and written curriculum. During a pandemic, the challenge is to strike a balance between relevant basic competencies and teachers' desire to achieve all curriculum outcomes. To address this issue, the teacher must revisit the existing curriculum and analyze the outcomes of a program or course. Identifying and mapping the required and enduring outcomes can shed light on overlap, allowing the teacher to decide which competency should be retained or merged. Next is rearranging of the college course offerings. Theoretical and conceptual courses that can be delivered online may be offered in the first 2 years, while the face-to-face classes are not yet possible due to the risk of infection. Courses like laboratory-based, field study, and practitioner courses can be offered later on if everything is somehow going back to normal. Next is offering of elective or cognate courses that relate to the pandemic. The curriculum must be revised in regard to the global health crisis. Some of the proposed elective courses that are deemed essential, especially in the teacher education programs, are disaster risk management, learning and teaching methods that are adaptable, alternative resilient education assessment, health and mental well-being, designed for blended learning, psychosocial support during a crisis. Next is modifying the taught curriculum. Implementing multiple learning delivery modalities is another way to modify the curriculum and ensure learning continuity during the pandemic. If face-to-face learning is not yet possible, teachers may consider flexible distant learning options such as correspondence teaching, module-based learning, project-based learning, and television broadcast, computer-assisted instruction, synchronous online learning, asynchronous online learning, and collaborative e-learning may be considered for learners with internet access. Lastly, in curriculum modification is modifying the assessed curriculum. Adjustments to the assessment measures may also be considered during the pandemic, limiting requirements and focusing on the major essential projects that measure enduring learning outcomes, such as case scenarios, problem-based activities, and capstone projects is necessary. Authentic assessments must be strengthened to ensure that learners acquire competencies. When modifying the curriculum in the midst of a pandemic, keep in mind that initiatives and evaluation tasks must be based on what the learners need, including their safety and well-being. Next is curriculum considerations. First, we have the context of teaching and learning. Everything has changed since the World Health Organization declared a pandemic in March 2020, including people's way of life. The devastation caused by COVID-19 in reclaiming over 10 million lives is unprecedented in human history. Despite the pandemic, education as a human right must continue. So, educators and teachers should give curriculum delivery appropriate to the context more serious consideration. Next is the context. According to preliminary scientific research, COVID-19 is a rare disease caused by a new virus. Because of the virus nature, the World Health Organization issued fundamental guidelines for everyone to follow in order to avoid contamination and transmission. They are as follows. Hands should be washed frequently with soap and water. Unwashed hands should not be used to touch the eyes, nose, or mouth. Put on a face mask. This will provide personal protection by ensuring that no droplets from a transmitter's coughing or talking are passed on to another person. Next is maintain your distance or social distancing or keeping at least 1 meter away from another person will break the transmission circuit. Next is exercise good health etiquette. When coughing, cover your mouth or cough on your sleeves rather than on the person in front of you. Next is consume nutritious foods that will strengthen your immune system. In summary, the general health protocols that must be followed are as follows. Staying at home, social distancing, keep clean your hands frequently, and applying face mask. Face-to-face classes are almost impossible with the fundamental rules outlined given by the World Health Organization. As a result, the typical classroom scenario will never be the same during this period. Schools are open, but faculty and students are not permitted to physically report to work during the height of the pandemic, even though protocols are being applied as the days pass. Like in Education 4.0, current education and possibly the future new normal will occur at any time, anywhere. As a result, everything is volatile, uncertain, complex, and ambiguous in this situation. So this context must be provided for teacher education to continue. Next is the learners and the teachers. College students, like all learners, vary in their readiness to learn in the face-to-face pandemic. Teacher education institutions are spread all over the country with a total number of 1,200. Prior to the pandemic, students came from a variety of backgrounds based on geographical location, economic status, schools attended, and many other factors. Similarly, the teachers came from similar backgrounds. Because of this diversity, it is possible that the transitioning from face-to-face to online or flexible learning will be difficult for both learners and teachers. Therefore, the mode of delivery must be selected appropriately. Lastly is appropriate teaching delivery during the time of pandemic and beyond. What methods of instruction might be appropriate for the learners and teachers context? This is a difficult question to answer because aside from the learners and teachers, there are several factors to consider. And the availability of internet connection could be a significant factor in implementing flexible teaching and learning.